Alright guys, today's wine text, I don't have the bottle with me, but that's okay, is the Astrales Ribera del Duero 2014. So I'm going to talk about the region first because I think some people are familiar with Ribera del Duero, but I think a lot of people aren't. So when you think of Spain, I mean obviously it's not a square, but in a squarish form. Rioja is in the middle, almost all the way north, and Ribera del Duero is just southwest of that. So similar climates, similar styles. There's a little bit less restriction on the grapes and the way that they can make the wine Ribera del Duero, but it's still one of the most collectible style wines in all of Spain. This Astrales is made by a winery that's fairly new. When I think of old world wines, especially from Spain and Italy, they tend to be very old wineries. But this one actually started at the end of the vintage, in the 2000 vintage. I think they labeled their first bottling of any wine in 2001. But like I said, under 20 years of experience underneath this label. The winemaker's been around for a long time. This wine itself is 100% Tinto Fino, which is translated to Tempranillo. It's the same grape, and it's aged 18 months in oak. The one big part about the oak aging here is that they rotate about 30% of their barrels every year into brand new French oak. So there's definitely a decent amount of influence here when it comes to the matching and the balance of the wine. There's still a lot of vibrancy, a lot of that dark cherry, dark blackberry. There's a ton of earth that comes through Ribera del Duero's, but there's definitely an influence of oak here. You get a lot of that vanilla, a lot of that kind of toasted oak savoriness that comes through. The wine's pretty full-bodied. I'm not going to say it's going to be overwhelming like a Napa Cab or some of the big Riojas or Priorats that come from Spain. But it definitely has some body, some structure, and plenty of tannins. The one thing I find is that in Ribera del Duero, yes, there's some very expensive wines that come from there. I mean, if you ever think of like Vega Sicilia and things where you're going to spend a lot of money, but to me, Ribera del Duero is still a place that you find a lot of great values. This wine is one of the better of the values, and then getting it at the discount we're selling it for is nearly unheard of. This is easily a wine that you can pop it open now, hit it in a decanter, get some air through it, but also a wine that I have no problem saying will age for the next 10 to 15 years. I always say, you know, when a wine or a rating says, hey, this will age until 2028, which I think is what the Wine Enthusiast says about this wine, I tend to think that's actually a little low. I think that means there's a lot of fruit left in the wine and a lot of structure. You can go a little bit further and even get more elegant and more of those kind of leathery undertones, which is where I like to drink these style wines. So yeah, a really cool wine, great value, a really cool producer. They don't make a lot of wine, and I think you guys are going to like the style, and if you've never tried Ribera del Duero, this is an unbelievably great opportunity to get an entrance into this style wine.